So every game on Roblox always uses its community to generate really good ideas for their updates. That is already pretty established and pretty normal. However, there are certain ideas which this community gives and updates that they want to see, which I'm gonna be honest, they're all out just more hurtful for the game rather than actually helpful. And today, guys, I will be going over the top 5 most disliked suggestions slash updates that people keep asking for, and I'm sure most of the people will probably be able to agree with this. Since this list is mainly generated by a lot of people from this community and not just me, I really wanted to ask before I actually make this video, so this isn't really a hot take. But anyway, let's just jump right into it. So the first and probably one of the most annoying things which people keep asking for is going to be a realistic damage system in this game, and being able to really just follow a way to kill the person instantly by having the game fully based on realism. So there are a lot of issues with this, because if this game was fully based on realism, then planes would literally just be broken, overpowered. These things would be able to travel at a speed which a lot of the time Roblox wouldn't even be able to render. Most of the missiles will be able to one-shot literally everything in the game, because the anti-air missiles one-shot in real life, the anti-tank missiles one-shot a lot of vehicles most of the time, the bombs just end up one-shotting things, so it really just destroys the overall balance of the game as a whole, and the only real useful vehicles would probably just be planes, which of course they were recently nerfed. Now the next set of suggestions which I see quite a lot is going to be removing a vehicle because you hate it. That has to be probably the most stupid suggestion or update which people want to see in this game, and I really dislike it for one major reason. People often ask for the submarines to be removed because they don't like them as a vehicle class, but how about instead you actually give us reasons to why the submarines suck, what kind of issues they have, so the developers can actually work on fixing them. That's something that they have been pushing towards a lot recently. If you have a problem with a certain vehicle or a certain class of vehicles, just tell the devs and the suggestions some issues and fixes that could be done to make this vehicle a lot more enjoyable. A perfect example of that could be the Tycoon class, which is constantly complained about. It could be the submarines and how unbalanced they are in this meta. Explain to the devs why they're unbalanced. Another vehicle which I also see get a lot of hate is the USS Independence X, and I'm gonna be honest, this vehicle, I'm not happy about it being in the game, but the second you add something that's paid that people spend their real money for, there is just no way of removing it from the game now. It's just way too late. At that point, you may as well just want to ignore it and not use it yourself if you bought it or whatever. But there are a lot of people that are still using this thing until this day, and removing a vehicle from a lot of people's pockets is just probably one of the most stupid things to do, because it will just, in reality, anger everybody in the community. And the next one being is going to be very weak vehicles or just copies of themselves. So essentially, the trend that we currently have with a lot of tanks in this game, or just really a lot of vehicles in general, is that they basically share weaponry. For example, the PLL-1 has a 120mm cannon and explosive gun. The T-14 has a 125mm cannon and explosive gun. The Challenger has a cannon and a gun. The standard Abrams has a cannon and a gun. A standard Sherman has a cannon and a gun. You guys kind of understand what I'm talking about here. We have vehicles that are just basically using the same weaponry, which almost share stats in a way in a lot of the cases, and I see a lot of people just suggesting the most random tanks or the most random vehicles in the world, which are basically completely unoriginal and just copies of each other. The reason why a lot of these vehicles exist in this game is because they're really famous and the devs know that people will use them, but I've also noticed that recently they have been trying to be a lot more unique with the vehicles they add, because they noticed that basically every single thing is almost the same. And I know there is plenty of different ammo types and weapons which the developers could add. For example, the K9 Fender was a really unique vehicle because it added 2 different ammo types. The Abrams X has its drones, it has its javelin. We got the BMD-4M, which works in a unique way because it's a fast and amphibious vehicle. The TOS has different rocket types. That's the kind of vehicles that we want to always ask for. Even the automatic, it got the smart flak and an armor piercing gun. All these vehicles are kind of different in their own way. Even the TO-55 with its flamethrower. There are tons of features in real life which you could definitely have on vehicles, which I think should be the suggestions which the developers should really be looking for. So the next suggestion I see quite a lot is gonna be stop adding limiteds, and I'm gonna be completely honest with you, they have been adding 1 premium vehicle a month most of the time. Sometimes we receive 2, but on average they kind of follow a schedule of adding 1 a month. And the thing with this is that we have certainty that we're gonna be receiving an update for these vehicles every single single month, so we know to always be prepared for it, but it's also a monetization strategy which the developers are using to actually be able to pump out much more quality updates. So by essentially asking them to not add something which already has been announced or that's gonna be in the game, it's a pretty stupid suggestion, because they're not just gonna cancel an update because you're telling them to do it. That is just not how video games work. They have to pay their investors, they have to pay their employees, the vehicle has already been made. How about instead of actually asking for something to not be added or to be removed from the game, how about you actually give the developers suggestions before the update drops on how to balance this vehicle, give them certain stats which the vehicle could follow, give them certain features which it could possibly have. But in reality, the community isn't very helpful with actually being able to really give the developers ideas on how to make this vehicle work, how to not make it too overpowered, and etc. All we're just asking is just the same thing over and over again, which is just not gonna work, and that's probably the reason why a lot of the time they just don't read the suggestions. But anyway, for the time being, that's basically all I have for you guys in today's video. Do let me know in the comment section down below what are your least favorite suggestions that you see. But yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and thank you so much to all my channel members.